A polar bear can spend days searching across a frozen world and still find nothing to eat. That is the cruel reality behind one of the Arctic's most powerful predators. A full-grown polar bear is built like a machine for hunting seals. Its massive body conserves heat. Its broad paws carry it across snow and help propel it through icy water. Beneath pale fur lies dark skin, while a thick layer of fat can help protect it from the lethal cold. Yet, everything about this animal seems designed for domination. And yet, much of its life is controlled by something it cannot create, command, or replace. The ice. Not ordinary ice. Sea ice. For a polar bear, frozen ocean can become a hunting platform, a travel route, a resting place, and the boundary between survival and starvation. From the surface, the Arctic may look endless. But for this predator, the right ice can mean food. The wrong ice can mean another day without it. And here is the devastating contradiction. One of the largest land predators on Earth depends on a surface that can disappear beneath its feet. She enters the world in darkness. During winter, a pregnant female polar bear may shelter inside a snow den. There, she gives birth to cubs that are astonishingly small compared with the enormous mother beside them. At birth, they are blind, helpless, and completely dependent. Rees sighed. Outside the den, the Arctic winter can be deadly. Wind drives snow across the landscape. Temperatures can fall far below freezing. But inside, the cubs remain pressed close to their mother, surviving because of warmth, milk, and protection. For a brief time, the outside world does not exist. But it is waiting. When spring approaches, the family eventually emerges into a landscape of white light and frozen distance. The cubs take their first uncertain steps into an environment where exposure, separation, and hunger can all become dangerous. They must stay close. A young cub is not yet a hunter. It cannot simply wander away and find food. It depends on its mother through an extended period of learning and growth, and even she must constantly make decisions. Where to travel, when to rest, where hunting might still be possible. The cubs follow through snow, over uneven ice, and along a world that offers almost no shelter. They have been born into one of the harshest environments on Earth, but surviving birth was only the beginning. This young bear has inherited powerful instincts, but instinct alone cannot reveal where a seal will surface. The Arctic must be learned. A mother may lead her cubs across sea ice, teaching them through movement and repetition. They watch where she travels. They follow her scent trails. They learn to cross unstable terrain and enter the water. Eventually, they encounter the skill that defines much of polar bear survival: patience. A polar bear may wait beside a seal's breathing hole, remaining almost completely still for long periods. The hunt depends on timing. The seal must surface. The bear must react. And the opportunity may last only seconds. The cub watches. One day, if it survives long enough, it will have to hunt without her. But learning is dangerous because every mistake costs energy. A long walk through deep snow. A swim through freezing water. A failed attempt to catch prey. For an animal living in an environment where food is not guaranteed, wasted energy matters. The mother cannot teach forever. Eventually, the cubs become independent. And when that separation comes, the Arctic stops being a classroom. It becomes a test. This animal is not simply wandering through a white wilderness. It is searching. They lose belief. Polar bears are highly specialized hunters, with seals forming a crucial part of their diet in many parts of their range. Their hunting success is closely tied to the presence and condition of sea ice. But sea ice is not a permanent hunting ground. It changes with seasons, currents, wind, and temperature. Cracks open. Ice shifts. Large areas can break apart and drift. A route that was possible yesterday may become open water tomorrow. The bear continues moving, across snow, over pressure ridges, along the edges where ice meets the sea. Each journey demands energy from a body that must remain enormous enough to withstand the cold. Then, perhaps, there is a scent. The bear slows. Ahead, somewhere beneath the ice, a seal may be using a breathing hole. The bear waits. Seconds stretch into minutes. Minutes into something longer. Then suddenly, movement. The stillness breaks. But a hunt can fail in an instant. The seal disappears. The water closes over it. And the bear is left exactly where it began. Hungry. Still searching, hungry. The Arctic can be brutal even when the ice remains. But what happens when the hunting platform itself becomes less available? This is where the life of a polar bear enters its most dangerous uncertainty. In many parts of the Arctic, polar bears depend heavily on sea ice to reach and hunt seals. When seasonal sea ice melts earlier or forms later, bears may have less time in some regions to hunt successfully. For some, that can mean spending longer periods on land or in areas where their preferred prey is harder to reach. And land does not automatically provide an alternative. Polar bears may eat a variety of foods when available, including carrion and other seasonal resources. But these do not necessarily replace the energy-rich marine prey that sea ice hunting can provide. The consequences can become especially severe for bears already facing high energy demands. A mother, growing cubs. A young bear still learning. An adult forced to travel farther. There is no dramatic battle here. No single enemy. Just an environmental change that can quietly remove opportunities one season at a time. For an animal built around the frozen ocean, the loss of ice is not merely a change of scenery. It changes the entire calculation of survival. This creature is not alone in the Arctic. Its life is connected to an entire marine system. Polar bears are apex predators, and in many Arctic ecosystems they are closely linked to the food web through their relationship with marine mammals, particularly seals. When a bear kills a seal, the remains may also provide food for scavengers. Its movements connect sea ice, shorelines, and open water. Its presence is part of a larger Arctic relationship that developed over thousands of years. But there is an irony at the center of this existence. The polar bear appears powerful because it sits near the top of the food chain. Yet being an apex predator does not make it independent of the world beneath it. It is dependent on seals. Seals are connected to the marine environment, and access to those seals is often shaped by sea ice. Remove enough of that connection, and strength becomes less useful. A massive body cannot hunt prey it cannot reach. Power cannot replace habitat. And the Arctic's most recognizable predator is, in many ways, standing on a foundation it did not build. The polar bear is not a species that has simply vanished from the Arctic. It still occupies a vast range across the northern hemisphere. But its future is under serious pressure. The species is listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, with climate-driven loss of sea ice recognized as the primary long-term threat. The danger is not identical everywhere. Polar bear populations live across different regions, and local conditions can vary. Some groups experience different patterns of sea ice change, prey availability, human activity, and other pressures. That complexity matters. The story is not that every polar bear is disappearing tomorrow. The reality is more difficult. A species adapted to a particular environment is facing a future in which that environment is changing. And polar bears are not dealing with only one pressure. Human activity can bring additional risks, including pollution, industrial development, and increased activity in Arctic regions. In some areas, interactions between bears and people may also increase as changing conditions alter where bears travel and spend time. There is no single moment when the Arctic announces that the balance has changed. No alarm sounds across the ice. The transformation can arrive season by season. A little less ice. A little more distance. A little less time to hunt. And for an animal whose survival depends on energy, small changes can accumulate. The polar bear's world stretches across the Arctic. It is found in regions associated with several northern countries, including Canada, Greenland, Norway, Russia, and the United States. But geography alone does not explain its life. The map is written in ice. Some bears spend long periods moving across sea ice far from land. Others use coastal areas when the ice retreats. Their movements can change with the seasons and with local conditions. In this enormous landscape, distance has meaning. A patch of ice may hold access to hunting. An open channel may block a route. A coastline may become a temporary refuge. Sometimes, the bear must swim. Polar bears are strong swimmers, capable of traveling through cold Arctic water. But swimming is not effortless, especially when long distances separate usable ice from the animal's destination. For a moment, the landscape can appear almost beautiful. The low Arctic sun touches the snow. The sea lies still between broken sheets of ice. A polar bear walks alone across the horizon, its tracks stretching behind it into silence. It looks peaceful, almost untouched. But the beauty lasts only as long as the conditions allow it. The bear keeps moving. Because in this world, stopping does not create food, and the horizon offers no guarantee that the next stretch of ice will provide what the last one did. The polar bear became a symbol of the Arctic because it looks as though it belongs nowhere else. Its body is shaped by the cold. Its hunting strategy is shaped by the sea. Its life is tied to ice. And perhaps that is what makes its existence so difficult to witness clearly. For most of its history, the polar bear's greatest challenge was surviving the Arctic. Now, in a rapidly changing climate, the Arctic itself may become the challenge it cannot overcome in the same way. This animal can endure darkness, blizzards, freezing water, hunger, and enormous distances. It can wait beside a breathing hole for hours. It can cross landscapes that appear empty to almost every other large predator. But survival has never depended only on toughness. The brutal truth is that even an animal perfectly adapted to one of the harshest places on Earth can become vulnerable when the place it was adapted to begins to disappear. And somewhere across the frozen north, a polar bear continues walking, not knowing whether the next stretch of ice will hold a seal, not knowing how far it must travel, only moving forward, across a world that still looks endless, but is no longer guaranteed is to remain frozen.